I think everybody remembers where they were on September 11th, 2001. It's a day that for most of us started out really normal, ended incredibly tragic for some. Author Damon DeMarco has updated his book. It's called Tower Stories, An Oral History of 9/11. And he's on the phone with us today, as well as a very special guest, South Tower survivor Florence Engorian. She was 5 months pregnant at the time of the attack. Her daughter Emily is also on the phone with us. Thanks for joining us this morning.
We're pleased to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, Damon, we'll start with you. It must have really been tough to get these the firsthand experiences from these people. How'd you get people to talk about it?
During the days after 9/11, I was in shock. I think everyone was. But I remember distinctly feeling that this is something that needs to be investigated and it needs to be written down. Because my fear was that we would lose, as history and time march on, the feeling and the details and the truth of what actually happened on that day. So for the next 2 years, I ran around Manhattan and interviewed over 100 people, about 45 of which are in the book.
Florence, you were in the South Tower. Now, do us a favor and walk us through the experience. And you were pregnant with Emily, too.
You know, looking out the window, all I can remember seeing, like, papers and flames and just saying to myself, I know it's the other building, but I need to get out of here. And I had some coworkers help me. We got into the stairwell, which was full of people, and, you know, we walked down, and I probably got down to about the 30th floor, and that's when the second plane hit us, and the building just twisted and shook, and from that point on, it was kind of walking down in silence, thinking, I hope this building doesn't collapse.
And if I remember right, announcements were actually made on that day on the building PA system for people to stay at their desks and on the floors. However, you knew to get out of there. So tell us, what was the mad rush of the stairs like? Was it panic, or was it more people helping one another out?
Really, in the beginning, people kind of ran in the stairwell and were kind of running down, but after a while, it really got actually pretty organized. People were walking. If someone had water, they were handing it off to people. I had people handing me water because they knew I was pregnant, and it was really organized going down. You would think that people would be pushing and panicking, and it really wasn't. I think people I know for myself, I just kind of said to myself, if I can make it down to 20 and that's going to be it, you know, that will be it. I just felt like I didn't want to go out pushing and scratching like that. I just was going to walk down and let fate be what fate was.
As a pregnant woman, I know how hard it is to get around sometimes. Tell me, how difficult was it for you, 5 months pregnant, to go down all those flights of stairs?
Oh, I know. I was sweaty. It was hot in there because there's no really air conditioning in the stairwell, and it was...
Now,
I was sweating.
Florence, you had help from two of your colleagues, if I remember, Brian and Brimley.
Right, exactly.
So, Emily, when you think about your mom and all that she went through, what goes through your mind?
What goes through my mind is just how I never would believe something that terrible would happen to my mom. I just feel that it's really, really terrible that someone would actually do that to such innocent people in the building. You know, they're going about their day, and then the terrible plane hits.
Florence, once you got yourself out of the tower, you weren't into the safety zone yet, so tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once you got out of the building, I mean, you definitely had to run. You were avoiding the debris that was falling from the building, and, I mean, there wasn't anyone giving you direction. I mean, once you were outside, it wasn't organized at all. I mean, there were people running around, people just standing and looking at the towers, and so we had to kind of make our way up Manhattan from downtown, and once we got to City Hall, they thought something was going on there. They had us running from City Hall, and we finally ended up in an office building. People just kind of said, come on in, and we were there a little while until the towers collapsed, and then we had to evacuate from there. And again, walking up from lower Manhattan after the towers collapsed, I kind of just fainted, and I had people bring me to St. Vincent's Hospital.
So what's the hardest part of telling your story?
It's just, you know, at a moment kind of thinking, well, that could have been it. And especially, but now, I mean, with my daughter, Emily, like I have this little girl who I thought I wasn't going to get to see at that moment. And here she is, and she's a great kid. She does wonderful things. And so for me, it's not so hard anymore.
Damon, what do you hope people learn and take away from reading your book?
Well, that's a great question, and probably the pivotal question, I think. I think what we can take away from it is that it was a horrible day, it was a sad day, but so much of the best of who we are as a people came out that day too. Our resilience came out, our courage came out, and our willingness to help each other. And that's what Tower Stories at its heart is really about.
You can visit 981thehawk.com to learn more about the book. Damon, Florence, and Emily, thank you for sharing your story with us today.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.